and Utah football. Wednesday on Pac-12 Network.
Sunday morning in the Pac-12 Network. It must mean it's time for volleyball, presented by Tachikara. A good look at the Wooden Center, where the Oregon State Beavers have come to visit the number 9 ranked UCLA Bruins. Let's first give you a look at the standings inside Pac-12, and UCLA at number 3, maybe kind of a sneaky season for them. A good season thus far. Oregon State has had their struggles. Hi everybody, Kevin Barnett along with my partner Tammy Blackburn. Welcome into Pac-12 Volleyball here on Pac-12 Network. And Tammy, coming off a Thursday loss, UCLA losing to Oregon in 5, a tough one. They're looking for a rebound match here against Oregon State.
Well, they certainly are, and they've got their home floor to do it in here in the Wooden Center. You always got to take care of business at home, and that's what head coach Michael Seeley wants them to do. You do not want to get swept at home. And a critical one against a team in Oregon State last time up in Corvallis, Oregon. These teams went to 5.
UCLA looking for some success. It will come behind the capable setting of Zana Muno, who is a freshman who stepped into that spot and played an important role.
Well, she's just done a nice job. She's a 2-time freshman of the week. Her numbers have been remarkable. Listen, she's been thrown into a season where she probably is getting a little bit more experience than she anticipated. A couple injuries for UCLA. She's had to step up, but what you have to come to appreciate with her is that if things aren't going and she's not putting up a hittable ball, she still's going to make up for it defensively. I love her spirit. She has integrity for the sport.
Mike Seeley calls her a fighter, and on the other side, it's a young outside hitter, just a sophomore who already finds herself among Oregon State's elite all-time.
I think that literally the year for Mary Kate Marshall last year, and as an All-American, did wonders for her. The experience that she gained, and then the off-season development of this player, and Terry Liskevich cannot say enough. She continues to lead this Beaver team offensively, and statistically she's been remarkable. How about the performance at Stanford that she had not too long ago? She's been just everything, including consistent.
It's sunny right now in LA, but word has it a little bit of Oregon-type weather blowing in. Will the Beavers feel at home and pick off UCLA in the late season? First serve coming up next. Beavers, Bruins.
Month. Visit your Southern California Infinity retailer.
Pac-12 Women's Volleyball is presented by Tachikara. We've got the ball, you bring the game. Good look at John Wooden outside the Pauley Pavilion. If you walk just up to your left there, you'll find the Wooden Center, where the Oregon State Beavers are facing off with the UCLA Bruins. Welcome back inside. As we look at our starting lineups presented by Tachikara, Oregon State and Terry Liskevich. Call him Taras, but Leila Toner, one of the big parts of their offense when she's on, they're on.
Yeah, I mean, she's done a great job. She has been a mainstay, and this year has been a very difficult year, but Toner's been solid.
On the other side for UCLA, Mike Seeley in his 6th year. And this is a lineup that's been shuffled just a little bit lately, but they get back one of the big pieces, number 3, Riley Bushler.
And that's the key for them. I mean, there's a different team when she's on the floor.
Good look at the floor here inside the Wooden Center, as the series history solidly in favor of the Bruins. 27-2 at home, but this is a building that they don't spend a lot of time in, the UCLA Bruins.
Not a lot of practice here. They'll play in Pauley a couple times this year. They'll play in the Wooden Center, but came out early. They practiced here yesterday just to get used to the markings and the field.
Beavers come out in black, UCLA in their whites. Kevin Barnett, Tammy Blackburn sitting courtside as Claire Felix will step back to serve for UCLA. Felix out of Colorado Springs, a junior at 6'6". Watch her on the back slide when she's in the front row. Play that was quite successful against Oregon State last time. Nice defense. Both sides putting a little D in your Sunday. Frager deep corner, finally good for the Bruins.
Nice way for Muno of UCLA, the freshman that we highlighted off the top, to stick with it. She's tandemed with Frager. First of all, the defense by UCLA in the back. Oregon State kept coming at him, but Muno finishes it off with a hittable ball for Frager.
Toner rejected by Anderson. Jordan Anderson, who got off to a hot start on Thursday. She's come in here and made a big difference for the Bruins this year out of West Virginia last year.
She feels rested. I had a chance to chat with her on the way in. We both came to the Wooden Center at about the same time. She says, I'm finally feeling at my best, rested, and feels good.
A good touch by the Bruin block. Here comes Anderson. Looking down the line. That one got just past her. Touches the antenna.
Not a lot of room there for Anderson, but she found it. She put that ball down at a nice angle. The block was there for Oregon State. Making very good reads. That's the development we've seen from Anderson this year.
Got to avoid the red and white guy on the outside. That ball is stuck through the block, and already a couple kills for Frager out of the middle. Junior at 6'5" out of Rancho Santa Fe. That's a couple of middles you can do some work with in the Pac-12, 6'6" and 6'5".
Yeah, and the passing is there. Of course, it's all dependent on the passing. The passing has been. Those two have been rock solid.
Zana Muno serves that one a little bit wide. Muno pressed into service as the full-time setter due to injury for Ryan Chandler. She's done an excellent job, the freshman, playing for Mike Sealy and his staff. Out of nearby Hermosa Beach is Muno. And here's a big change for Oregon State. Dana Backlund in now in the back row. It's a 6'2". Never in the history of Oregon State under Terry Liskevich have they run a 6'2". In just the last few matches. Beautiful diving save that time by Ellis. And Marshall converts.
Mary-Kate Marshall is somebody that this team will rely on. You can see she hits it high off of Jordan's right hand. Jordan didn't like it, but nicely done. Good execution there by Mary-Kate Marshall.
Backlund will serve again, and she misses. Now keep an eye on how the setting game goes for Oregon State. They've gone to that 6'2" because setting has been an issue all year long, the consistency of the ball.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you make that change, obviously things change throughout the rotation, but it's a different look. It's a time of the year that Terry Liskevich says, you know, why not? We've got the pieces to do it. He's been juggling all season long.
Here's Drolson with the serve for UCLA. Has been a good scoring rotation, but that ball drops over the top of the net. What should happen with that ball?
You got to play it, man. You got to
maybe crutch it for an overpass kill?
Absolutely. You got to make that read and play it. Put that ball down.
So a mistake for UCLA. Mary-Kate Marshall out of the back row. She serves, and here comes Bushler, who rocks it down the line. Riley Bushler out for a while, back just briefly on Thursday night. We saw her get winded, but she's had a couple of days practice now leading into this match. Misconnection between Backlund and the middle. That was one of the things Terry Liskevich mentioned, is that sometimes the time between the call of what they're going to set and what actually gets set, things somehow get confused. It's been sort of a maddening year for him. Outside Bushler. Stuffed one-on-one. Count that one for Haley Clark.
So important to be good one-on-one in the block in the Pac-12. Watch Haley Clark go off and just make that read. Gets it with the left hand. That ball falls just on that side of the net by UCLA Point Oregon State.
Good pass by Bushler into the middle slice. Look at that wrist away from Kyra Rogers.
It's quick too, right? I mean, she beat that block. Watch the read on the block. Oh, and she just went right away from it.
So out goes Rogers. In to serve for her comes Rachel Inouye. Inouye, the senior out of Hawaii. Capable libero. And this is the thing, the smalls matter in the game today in women's volleyball. You're not a substitution, so you can make a big difference in the back row. A little inside X play from Oregon State, missed by Reagan. So Inouye will serve again. UCLA leads 9-5 here in set one. Thanks for being with us here for a little Pac-12 women's volleyball presented by Tatcha Kara, Kevin Barnett, Tammy Blackburn. Court side, watching that kill from Kate Marshall. Driscoll getting that kill. Caitlin Driscoll, 6'5" out of Littleton, Colorado. And Driscoll might be the bellwether for this team. When she plays well, when there's some balance in that offense, it seems like Oregon State is a better team.
You know, she missed a lot throughout her career in 2012, 2013, but she has come back healthy.
Tip over the top for Felix. One of the things Terry Liskevich identified as a threat early on was this backslide.
He said we absolutely have to stop it. We were watching Muno and Felix in warm-ups, and the connection was absolutely on. And look at Felix make a read, tips that ball over.
Well, look at Reagan get up, but equal to the task is Anderson, along with Felix.
Reagan reminds me when she explodes like this, a little bit of Elise Ford of USC, and the way she gets up in her lift and uses both of those arms.
Certainly Ford, and when you hear Ford's name, you hear Angie Pressey talked about, one of the great leapers in the history of women's collegiate volleyball. And there's some athleticism out of a block, overpass, crush kill.
5'10" redshirt freshman Reagan. Watch the effort here. Again, goes up. There's the overpass, puts it in the back.
Impressive straight-up jumper, too. No steps at all for number 11. And a tough serve right after that. Formico with a diving stab. Marshall. One of the things that impressed me with Mary Kay Marshall, and I've seen her play, is her ability to not only hit the ball hard, but make some different shots out of sets.
And this is what she does right here. She understands that she's going up against Muno, who is the outside blocker there, the setter for UCLA. So she's going to make the read, goes right over the top and puts it in the hole.
Ellis is all over Anderson early on. That ball he could not get a second contact on, but that angled shot from Jordan Anderson is being eaten up by the Beaver defense. Felix back to serve once again. Kid with national team aspirations. You gotta like that. Marshall chipping again. Felix laying out. That one a little bit low. Anderson tips it. Scramble play, Bruins. Marshall with the save opportunity. But neither team able to get quality swings on some of these opportunities here mid-rally. Finally, Marshall wide.
You know, that's just one of those rallies, right, where you've got a couple free balls given by each team, a couple scrambles. You mentioned it, Kevin. Nobody getting a quality swing. But look at how Muno keeps this ball alive. At the end of the day, Mary Kate Marshall goes right into the block, and then another swing out of bounds. Point UCLA. Good effort.
That ball into the middle. Sayamalo with the kill. Sayamalo pressed into service here late in the season. A season-ending issue for Corey Cheshire, who was playing from outside into the middle blocker spot for much of the season for the Beavers. Toner tracks that one wide, and OSU's errors are helping to extend the UCLA lead. Leila Toner out of Istanbul, Turkey. At times you see her get on 2-3 balls in a row. Impressive, but then a couple of errors kind of bring her numbers back to earth. Marshall inside the block is there. Deep corner good for Marshall the second time.
I really like what I'm seeing in terms of the communication by Kayla Ellis, the freshman. She's wearing that white jersey for Oregon State. She's in the back. She's making sure that she's getting all the balls so that the setting for Oregon State can be spot on. They know how critical that is to get the best hittable ball, so she's got to take that first pass.
That ball thrown well off the net. Good job by the Oregon State block to wait. Big block for Oregon State that time. Clark up there with Driscoll. Both players going 6'5".
Yeah, Clark just hustled over. I mean, she did a nice quick sidestep there to make sure that she got there to close it out.
Tip over the top, Frager covers it. Here comes Anderson on the right. Anderson again. That ball tight. Marshall with the block, and this is the biggest front row lineup Oregon State can throw at you. It's paying off.
You got Driscoll, 6'5", you've got Clark, and we just saw what she did on that play moments ago. Watch Mary-Kate Marshall right here on the right-hand side, number 15 for Oregon State.
Beavers 3-0 run. Set over. Oregon State can't quite pick it up. With the kill.
Just makes a read, saw the big donut hole in the middle. Not something Michael Seeley wants her to do too much, but wants her to keep playing, and I like the looseness of that. UCLA up by 3 over Oregon State.
Now that they're at 1 on Pac-12 Network.
Pac-12 Women's Volleyball presented by Tatcha Kara. Mike Seeley watching his team look to get a split on the weekend. They lead here in set 115-12. And the RPI all-important rankings, strength of schedule. UCLA sitting at number 10 nationally. You get an idea of the strength of the Pac-12 itself as they have 5 teams inside the top 25 of the RPI.
No secret that UCLA did a lot of work in the non-conference season. At number 17 at the time, Hawaii beat San Diego just a very few days later. And then, some more quality wins, of course, here in the Pac-12. When you beat strong RPI teams, that also helps as well.
A little bit different than RPI if you just talk about strength of schedule and the way that it's been put together. Oregon State has played an incredibly challenging schedule this season. Marshall inside on the X2 gets that kill. They played BYU, Pacific, USD, Hawaii, UC Irvine, Long Beach State, all outside of their own conference. And then they had to go through the Pac-12 conference. And you talk about top 10 nationally, Washington, USC, Stanford, UCLA. This is not an easy place to play volleyball week in, week out. With the Dickers, Formico bumps side inside that 10-foot line. Formico will bump set overhead this time to Bushler, who kills it through the seam.
When Bushler's not on the floor, she has been injured. She's been day-to-day. This is a better team, and obviously, coming off a great season last year, Bushler in the spring had a wonderful spring. The player development and working on her game much improved, and you can tell this year.
I'm also listed as day-to-day. Roll shot into the net. Yeah, Bushler is that 6 rotation player that you'll hear coaches talk about. We have to get a 6. We have to get a 6 in here next year. We're losing our 6. They're talking about a player that has all the skills. Bushler is that for UCLA.
We just talked about the strength of their schedule and what they did in non-conference. How about Bushler's numbers? And she had a great showing against USD, ranked number 18 at the time. A double-double. Do you lean on her too much? No way. You go to her. You've got Anderson to share a little bit of the pressure. You've got some other players like Rogers, who I love for UCLA as well.
Maybe that's the silver lining of when you do have some injuries, you're forced to look other places and perhaps strengthen your team down the road, assuming your stars can come back.
I think some of these players for UCLA have no doubt shown Michael Seeley that they can step up. Ryan Chandler, who's been day-to-day the setter. Look at what Muno does. I mean, she never takes a play off.
You also see Haley Lawless coming in this year. She's been excellent off the bench. Bushler collects that kill, going angle off the hands. Riley Bushler, CIF Player of the Year, 3 CIF titles coming into UCLA last year. She's a sophomore this season. Mike was talking about her earlier in the week, saying we're just awaiting her return.
And the reason why, she's an asset at the service line. You've seen her, get hit by Oregon State. She's had to do some work in the back and dig her in the hole with Bushler. She's rock solid.
Another big double arm lift and a crush. Comes by that athleticism naturally. Her mother, an All-American player at Arizona, and her father, an incredible volleyball player in his own right, and of course, a long-time NBA threat, many championships with the Chicago Bulls. UCLA looking for another championship. They'll have to get by the Beavers right now.
For athletes who can get them back in the game.
If you want to run the gauntlet of the Pac-12, you'll be ready for the postseason inside the top 25. The Pac-12 is well represented. The 2 Arizona schools there, then UCLA at number 9. But how about inside the rest of the top 10? Stanford at 6, and then 2 and 3 in the nation playing in this conference.
What I have learned in the Pac-12 women's volleyball over the last few years, Kevin, is that talent may graduate, but talent never graduates. It keeps coming back, and these coaches go out, and their assistant coaches, they bring in top talent. We were talking about that before this match. it's a lot of fun to see younger players, it seems like each and every year, contributing more and more.
UCLA sitting at 3rd overall in Pac-12 in conference play. 20-5, fantastic season for Mike Sealy and his team. They lost in the regional semifinal last year in the playoffs to eventual champion Penn State. OT crush. There was Drolson. UCLA can't control it after that. What a read by Carly Drolson in the back row, the senior out of Del Mar.
Prior to that break, UCLA launched off 2 incredible points, well executed. Michael Sealy even got up. Rogers was a part of one. Oregon State had to come out of that break, score this point, see if they can reel off a few momentum points here.
That pass UCLA Bushler will hit out. Not yet. Back row Marshall. Low ceiling here in the Wooden Center. You got to play it. That ball too tight to the net, unable to be handled by UCLA. Point Oregon State, and they're hanging around here in this first set of the Beavers.
Keeping it close, trying to close that window, and UCLA certainly had the momentum going into that break, but out of this break, 2 quick points for Oregon State.
Got a good look there at the low ceiling inside the Wooden Center here, and also the good crowd on hand here on a Sunday morning to support the Bruins. Down the line, Bushler. I think a net violation to go along with that one. Still just 1 point on the scoreboard. Yeah, that one went wide, might have gone off the hands, but certainly the net would give the point.
That's right.
Bushler already 6 kills on 9 attempts, hitting .556. You think they missed that? That ball's tight and off the antenna. Leela Toner misses. Now Toner hitting 149 on the year. Has an error there, and UCLA looking good, extending just a bit up by 5 here in set 1.
The home to Bruins football, soccer, volleyball, and much more. Plus, inside access and expert analysis.
Oregon State still within striking distance here in this first set. A lot of excellent teams inside the Pac-12, but how about some individual talent and maybe Player of the Year candidates coming out of this conference?
Yeah, there's no doubt that we could see one in particular, but we just talked about the young talent, and there's also some veteran talent. Liana Sibelvin at Washington has been a lot of fun to watch, and she's been consistent at that first in the Pac-12 in hitting percentage. Kalei Mao, boy, the ceiling for her is really limitless. If she continues to stay healthy, she's going to have a great career. And the freshman out of Stanford, second in aces in the Pac-12. Look at the points per set, and she's contributing in a year for Stanford.
And Samantha Bricio over at USC. Head coach Karch Karaya, the women's national team, might want to see if he can get a passport for a player out of USC to switch sides. There's precedent. Donald Sujo on the men's side was a great setter for SC, who then played. So good look at the honors now for the last week. That's happened here. Samantha Bricio, Offensive Player of the Week. You could just stamp that one throughout the year. Just keep that same page going. Cassie Strickland, fantastic athlete for UW. And Zanamuno, again, Freshman of the Week, doing her best to captain the UCLA offense.
And you know what I like about this? In the Pac-12 in 2011, they changed it. Instead of giving out Player of the Week, they give the Tri-Athletes of the Week. So you see offense, defense, and the Freshman of the Week. And it gives us a little bit of flavor on skill sets, right? Bricio offense, and how about some of the great defense that's happening? I think it's a great highlight to the different skills in this Pac-12.
That's a good opportunity for the middles to get involved on Player of the Week,
yeah,
too.
You know.
Otherwise, kind of get glossed over. If you have Defensive Player of the Week, get some of the lot of stuff blocks.
There's your 2-time Freshman of the Week, Zanamuno.
Ball served long, and UCLA just 3 points away from a 1-set-to-none lead. UCLA 20-5. Beavers an exact opposite, 5-20 on the year. Oregon State kind of knew this was coming. They graduated a tremendous amount of talent last year in the tournament team that went to the 3rd round of the NCAA tournament, did the Oregon Beavers last year.
Yeah, they beat Creighton, University of Arkansas, Little Rock, and then eventually lost to their Pac-12 foe in Stanford.
It's just the 3rd time in program history that Oregon State has been in the NCAA tournament. Mary Kate Marshall would like to see that number go to 4 sometime shortly. Marshall, a big part of the success last year. Freshman record 540 kills last year. Absolutely ridiculous numbers. She's continued her excellent play, but put some more pieces around her next year. Anderson, off a ball that was a little low, taking an aggressive swing.
No, that's the key, putting a little bit more in terms of pieces around for Oregon State. Meanwhile, UCLA find themselves at set point number 1.
And Mark Sealy and the crew looking to win set number 1 for the 20th time this year. And that'll be it. Good move on the right-hand side by Kyra Rogers, catching it with the right hand. And UCLA, they are 19-1 on the season when they win the first set. Only problem is the one was back on Thursday. We'll see if UCLA can get back on track. Set 2 coming up.
California Infinity Retailer.
Sunny skies above the Powell Library here in Westwood. And sunny skies so far for UCLA. They win the first set 25-18. Kevin Barnett alongside Tammy Blackburn. Welcome back in here on a Sunday morning. And Tammy, a first set, pretty efficient performance from UCLA. They missed. Riley Bushler had an exceptional first set.
Well, and they were doing a nice job of passing, and that gives them a lot of different options. And look, this is a UCLA team where they have the options that they want. They get the passing that they need. They've been pretty good. Now, Oregon State made a few runs, and I appreciate how this very young Beaver team actually closed the window a few times, but at the end of the day, a little too much by UCLA.
Bushler 5 kills, and as you go down the stats for this first set, really hitting percentage is the biggest difference in this match.
And I think you have to really point to Muno, who's trying her best to keep the momentum set after set, put up a hittable ball, 265. Riley Bushler, a big part of that. Jordan Anderson. We have not seen too much from Claire Felix on the back slide there, but maybe we'll see that here in set number 2.
If you just joined us, UCLA coming off a loss on Thursday, losing to Oregon in 5. Just the second time they've gone 5 all year long for the Bruins.
And I was paying attention in particular to that second set. There were 8 ties in the first 16 points of set number 2, but then the Ducks went on a 12-4 run. UCLA doesn't lose very many matches when they lose, or when they win set number 1, but that was the case there, as you just pointed out.
Specifically only one back on Thursday. Yeah, it was identical 25-17, 17-25 scores. Then it was 25-27, Oregon taking the third, 25-23, UCLA in the fourth, and then 15-12. Talking to the UCLA staff, they said the stats, it was hard to find any difference, and sometimes you get those matches. Certainly the scoreboard reflected that it would be a very tight match, but it was also all the way down into the stats as Emily Wilms gets the first kill. Long Beach State transfer out of St. Paul, Oregon, subbed in here for the second set, wearing the number 1. Nuno is going to get called for the lift. And it's 2-0 Beavers here in set 2. If you want to get in the conversation, you can hashtag Pac-12VB all season long. During matches, in between matches, tell us what you think about your favorite volleyball team, favorite volleyball players. Is that overcall now from Larry Page, our up referee? Ken Catade is our down ref. That call went against Haley Clark. She's been kind of a constant presence. All 90 sets played by the redshirt senior. Outside, Marshall. Bruno dug in on that line. Blast on the outside from Bushler. Riley Bushler misses.
Didn't get that out of transition, but I like the effort by Reagan to go down and take that serve receive, right? That's important for her. Mary-Kate Marshall was right on her left. They want to try to set Mary-Kate Marshall as much as they can. Good effort by Reagan to take that pressure off and give Marshall the chance to take a good swing.
UCLA's been doing a nice job of targeting Marshall, trying to wear her out early in this match.
And Oregon State going at Bushler, too, when she is in the back. You certainly don't want to serve Formico.
That was one of the things we noticed with Bushler when she came in on Thursday. She was winded going back out. Terry Liskevich obviously would have seen that and trying to take an opportunity to take advantage of Bushler's lack of practice. Good transition for the outside hitter. Dig by Ellis. Oh, tough set, and that's too far outside.
You continue to see great effort by the Bruins Smalls, as you called them early on in this match, Kevin, and they are a major part of women's volleyball today. Formico sticks out her left hand to try to keep it alive, but they could not make the set.
Now listen to that angle. Perfect dig, transition kill for Reagan. So the English major writes a good one in this play.
Look at how quick she is to just get back. Her steps are fluid. I mean, she knows exactly what she has to do to hit her touch point, get ready for her approach. Nice technical player.
Ace serve, Mary-Kate Marshall. One of the categories Marshall leads her team in. That's 20 aces now for the season. She leads in points. She's second in blocks, first in aces.
Ranks 8th in the Pac-12 and kills.
Overpass that time. Reagan mishandles it. But UCLA misses. Oregon State off to a dream start here in the second set. Well, now we're going to have a conference. That ball looked like it was obviously off the antenna from our perspective. Mary-Kate Marshall went back to serve. We'll wait for an indication here as we have a conference between Larry Page and Ken Kincaid. And getting in there is Bert Fuller, linesman. Pierce Brahma, and longtime referee and coach in the sport of volleyball. Good look at Bert Fuller there. Recently married. Congratulations, Bert. And the ruling goes in favor of Oregon State. Seemed justly so from what we saw in live action. And Mike Sealy continues to let it ride. With a good touch. Opportunity Beavers outside. Miscommunication. Whose ball is that?
You know, Ellis really wanted that one, and she was calling Reagan off. Reagan goes over. I mean, you can't fault the effort, right? But it's the communication that is so key. The libero there felt like she was in the better position. That libero needed to get that ball.
You said it with a break. See if they can take advantage. A good touch. Bushler handles it. Slide to Felix. Ball kind of thrown around in the middle and saying my fault is Haley Clark as she taps that one out of bounds. Clark comes in hitting 290, not a usual situation for her to make an easy hitting error. Beavers right now hitting negative 111 for the set.
Haley Clark off the ball and out of bounds, point Beavers.
Check that, give the Beavers 125 for the set. Negative 111 belongs to UCLA. Darby Reeder with the serve. Tough one. That ball may have been out. Oregon State plays it and cut through inside. Reagan again exploding.
You know, that was a tough decision. I thought that ball was going to land out of bounds, but they chose to play it. There it is right there. Oh, a big right through the block.
First set went to UCLA, but maybe that weather is making the Beavers comfortable. 9-4.
My name is Corey Kling. Pac-12 Los Angeles.
Second set going the way of the visiting Oregon State Beavers. They are leading 9-4. Mary-Kate Marshall already 6 kills, 4 digs, and an ace, helping her team, the super sophomore.
Hitting 182, 22 total attempts here for Mary-Kate Marshall.
And 182, not a bad number for a player that has to clean up a lot of plays.
Yeah, she does, and oftentimes I have to better a ball.
Backslide Felix out of the timeout. That's been perhaps the most consistent connection with Muno et cetera.
Yeah, here it is out of the back, that slide play, and Cisse Malo tried to read that and just didn't get there quick enough, but Felix is so good on the execution.
Felix hitting 600, that's the good news. Bad news is only 3 attempts. 2 of those are kills. Would like to see the ball go in there a little more if you're Mike Sealy in UCLA. Marshall out of the back row, off the hands. Nice diving save by Enoch. Cracked by Jordan Anderson, cross body. That's the no-looky cookie.
Well, right off the hands of Reagan on the outside. Backlund knew what a great hit that was. She was playing defense right behind Reagan.
Sumalo nowhere in the vicinity of that set. And twice in a row. Crossbody over the shoulder. I don't even have to look to see this.
Yeah, that's impressive right there.
Three times, perhaps. All back to the angle. And now when trying to set over, that was outside the antenna. Now Beavers with another point. Anderson getting a lot of work in that rotation.
You can just tell that she feels healthy. I mean, she's got a little spring in her step. Her arm feels good. And I mentioned this earlier. She said she feels right where she needs to be. This is a good time of the year to be feeling as good as she is. And there's just something about her game right now that feels right.
Last time these two teams met, it was a 5-setter in Corvallis back on October 25th. Riley Bushler had 21 kills. Frager had 8 blocks. Anderson, 12 kills, but she hit .051, so not a good percentage night for her. And there were 18 blocks on the side of Oregon State. Driscoll had 18 kills, but Marshall struggled. So not the same storyline so far in this one early on a Sunday. Outside Reagan, covered by Marshall. Reagan will get it again, this time deep off the net. Smartly done by number 11.
You know, that ball's off the net. It kind of takes the block out of it a little bit, but watch Reagan here make this read. She's going to go right in that hole. Felix and Anderson up front, Felix in the back there.
4 kills for Reagan, and she misses that serve. Service errors starting to pile up for Oregon State. Oregon State with 5 service errors, just 2 for the Bruins. Anderson trying to go line, finds the net this time instead. So UCLA has crept a little bit, but not able to kind of make that 2 or 3 point run. Overhead Anderson on the right, Doug. Tight, so it's one off, it's one on. That was a dangerous play with Anderson on the right. This is tough for a hitter when the ball's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, just look at how tight it is. And like Marshall even hit the ball first before Jordan even got her palm on it.
13-9. Here's that same good blocking rotation. Marshall and Clark up there with Sumalo. Cross court wide. Oregon State now with the lead 14-9. It was UCLA who led 14-9 in set number 1. Ellis serving out of Pocatello, Idaho. Frager finally gets UCLA out of that situation.
You got the feeling that UCLA needed to get that one back. I mean, volleyball is such a game of momentum, and oftentimes you will see about 3 or 4 points in this sport where a team can keep that, but UCLA had to side out here.
Frager 3 kills, hitting .500. The Middles have 5 kills on 9 attempts. They're both over .500, but not nearly enough attempts to the middle blockers. Lawless, who's in the match now with that bump set. Reagan misses out of the back row. For UCLA, it feels like maybe you just need to keep the ball in more often.
Yeah, you don't have to pound it all the time, right? Just make good decisions.
Good rotation for the Bruins. Drolson at service line. Formico, nice play, has to lay low in the second contact. Formico again. And Clark misses. Another error for OSU, but Taylor Formico put on a defensive display.
Boy, she is a digger in the hole, just making great quick reactions. Ellis in the back there for Oregon State, the libero, and Formico, that's where you see her right there, just keep the ball alive.
Prager with the kill. UCLA getting back on track. They are within one. Terry Liskevich calls timeout for Oregon State. So the Bruins have had a rough beginning to the second set, but have rallied.
Is to care for athletes and get them back in the game.
Pac-12 women's volleyball presented by Tachikara in the second set. OSU and UCLA. Don't forget the intermission report upcoming after this second set. Kate Rooney will be in the studio. Update you on Stanford and Washington, and also the Buffs upsetting the Wildcats. Should that be tramples? I think Buffalo's trample Wildcats. I think that's what happens. The sports report update with Kate Rooney. Let's look at Taylor Formico making a difference here out of the libero position just in one rally.
You know, how many times have we seen Formico do this? I mean, the small is doing a lot of work. If it's not her left hand, it's her right hand keeping that ball alive.
Taylor Formico transferred from UC Santa Barbara for last season. She was the Big West Freshman of the Year 2 years ago. Another one of these Kerry Walsh cousins that are out there floating around the volleyball world. And she was all Pac-12 honorable mention last year. Through the seam, deep corner. That is a Bushler kill. Bushler was off to a hot start, cooled off substantially down into the 100s. 6 kills now for number 3 back in action. Tied at 14. Drolson, this rotation works for UCLA. Drolson with the dig. Bushler again. High and long. A little side spin on that, looking more like a planet than a volleyball.
Now, what a nice job that UCLA has done to close this window. A few times this year, they've been out of matches, or excuse me, out of sets, 7, 8 points, and they have marched right back in.
Deep corner, a well-managed swing that time by Haley Lawless, who is just into this match. Richard Jr. out of Tempe.
Well, the difference of the last 2 points is that earlier on in this set, Oregon State would reel off 3 or 4. UCLA gets it right back, sides out when they need to.
Marshall working off the hands smartly from Felix.
A young team for Oregon State. Terry Liskevich has worked hard this season just to try to get these student athletes to compete.
That ball tight to the net, saved by Bushler. That'll be a double contact called on Haley Clark, who was trying to dig it out. Mentioned the trials of Terry Liskevich this year. Here's who he lost. He lost Erica Nassar, Laura Schaub, Amanda Brown, Taylor Woods, all from last year, graduated seniors. 6 significant players left this program that went into the NCAA tournament 3 rounds. Reagan inside, but she misses. So Oregon State now is the team committing a couple of errors, and UCLA has their first lead of this set. (17-16). UCLA victorious in the first 25-18. Backslide Drolson is there. Ball's tight. Another one tight, that one outside the antenna. Another swing for Bushler, welcome back. How about 3 swings in 1 rally? Maybe 4. Nuno cleans it up on top of the tape. UCLA fighting for that one.
Swing after swing, here's Bushler. Felix with a quick reaction. Nuno makes a read right in front of Marshall in the back for Oregon State. Look at the freshman.
There's some heat coming from Caitlin Driscoll, but when she gets on the ball, that is a whip.
The scouting report, a lot of coaches will say, you know, we worry about Driscoll. She hits the ball hard. You see it right there. Their scouting report, spot on.
Sayumalo back in. Darby Reeder doing the service honors for Oregon State. Cracking it down the line is Bushler. Now, we've seen Bushler show a tremendous amount of range throughout the early part of this match.
Here it is, Muno, a very hittable ball. Nice set there. Buechler fired up.
Buechler finally got a couple days practice since that Thursday match. So getting the touch in the field back, playing that role for UCLA. Driscoll and Reagan is in the way. Free ball. See if Anderson gets it again. She does. This time angle deep corner. Now Anderson showing some range as well. Crack one line, crack one angle.
That's a good point. Kevin went down that line, decided to go the opposite.
With UCLA up by 3, Oregon State takes a timeout.
What a swing and momentum here in this match. Buechler has taken a lot of swings. Anderson coming in late here in set number 2.
This is a 10-3 run now for UCLA in this second set.
They're giving Oregon State a bit of what they got from Oregon Ducks. That's set number 2. The Ducks went on a 12-4 run when it was at about 16 points. And so UCLA coming back and fighting.
Don't forget, on Wednesday, it's another edition of the Women's Volleyball Match of the Week. Number 3, Washington, one of the most complete teams in the nation, continues to soar, but Oregon State would like nothing more than to upset them. Women's Volleyball Match of the Week, Wednesday at 7:30 on Pac-12 Network, or watch on Pac-12 Now and Pac-12.com. Tammy Blackburn, it seems like late in the season in the Pac-12, somebody always picks off one of those top teams. And by picking off, I mean somebody from the bottom. Somebody, Oregon State this year, Washington State, who's had their struggles in conference play. It seems like somebody always gets one of those top teams late in the year, and it matters when it comes to final rankings.
No, you're right. That's a good point. We've seen it. It happens all the time. And meanwhile, UCLA trying to pick off in this match in the Wooden Center. And here's where they rank this season. Assists second, third in kills, third in digs. Service aces fourth.
It's interesting with the service aces in the Bruins. They have no one inside the top 10 in the conference in service aces, but yet they as a team are ranked 4th. They are dangerous all the way around the dial. Buechler, good deep float, handled perfectly by OSU. And then follow through into the net goes Caitlin Driscoll. So UCLA extends another, that's 11-3 the run in this second set. Make it 12-3. Don't forget, coming up, the Pac-12 intermission report following the conclusion of this second set. Looking now like UCLA might go in with a 2-0 lead. It was looking like we might have been 1-1 if you came early in this set. Remember, it was 14-10 Oregon State. Anderson blocked. 22-18.
And UCLA serving Reagan each and every time of Oregon State. A couple of sets to Driscoll on hitting errors. Driscoll, the player that needs a set to be really, truly in her window.
Oregon 5 blocks, Oregon State. This time off the hands and out goes Anderson. Anderson hitting right around the 0 mark. That'll get her into positive territory, but it's been 1 good, 1 bad for number 2. 8 kills now, 7 errors on 25.
Maddie Gravely in the match for Oregon State.
So Oregon State going to the bench, and that was Gravely right there tipping it. How much do you worry about this year, and how much do you try and get some experience for next year if you are head coach Terry Liskevich? This is your redshirt freshman, Gravely.
Yeah, clearly he wants to get as many players in as he can. I think it's a good opportunity for them to just feel the floor, get in, find the rhythm.
Finding the rhythm are the UCLA Bruins. Set point number 1 for UCLA. Looking for a 2-0 lead. The setter, Muno, will serve. Marshall dug. Muno gets there. That ball's tight. Lawless deals with it. Flying into the angle. That's the strength of Jordan Anderson.
Couple rough patches for UCLA in this set number 2, but they stuck it out. Muno one times it. A couple times Frager misses. On the outside, Lawless. Muno comes right back. Here's the closing point. A big heavy ball by Anderson.
This is Anderson's strength, that cross-court attack. Anderson into positive territory now, 9 kills through 2. Buechler with 7. On the other side, 5 kills for Reagan. We're now with head coach Terry Liskevich of Oregon State. Coach, it looked like that second set was going your way early on. What was your team doing well in that second set?
Well, you know, I thought we've been serving tough. They've been passing well. Key is we made a lot of errors in that second set after we were ahead. I mean, we missed 3 serves in that set. We also just had a lot of free balls coming over where we could have attacked the ball. Our captain, Haley Clark, had a chance for several overpasses that she didn't put away. Lanisha Reagan had an overpass she didn't put away, and we missed a few tips. And our setting is so erratic, it's tough to get our outsides in a groove. So,
now, Coach, you talk about competing and trying to get this young team to compete throughout the season. Is that your message to them at this intermission?
Yeah, we compete. It's a question of really cleaning up some of the skills, particularly the first contact skills. We've got to do that. And then our setting, as I've said earlier, has got to be better. That's a key.
Thanks, Coach. We'll see you in set 3.
All righty. Thank you.
UCLA with a strong comeback in that second set. They lead 2 sets to none. We'll send you to Kate Rooney in our San Francisco studio next.
You're watching Pac-12 Los Angeles.
Welcome back to Los Angeles. If you find yourself in downtown, go due west on the 10, and you will find yourself in West LA. UCLA leading the first 2 sets, 25-18, 25-19. Nearly identical scores, but far different story, Mike Seeley, through those 2 sets. Head coach of UCLA, your team was down in that second set. Where does your focus go when your team is struggling like that?
You know, it was just recognizing we had a little demon of insecurity pop in. A lot of girls walking around a little bit frantic and not locked in together, earning that next point. We were kind of wallowing in a little self-pity, so we just had to snap out of it.
Coach, hard to ignore what Buechler has done. 27 swings, 7 kills, 4 errors. She's hitting 111, but she's doing so many other things. Oregon State is serving her. Her serve reception is so good. And talk about her performance after coming back from convalescing that injury.
Yeah, for me, this whole match, there's the game that's happening on the stat sheet. There's the game that's happening underneath it. And it's a lot of our girls, you know, having to step up in situations where they're not feeling really comfortable right now. So Riley's doing a good job of fighting her way back in.
Coach, thanks. Good luck in the third set.
Thank you.
Take a look at the highlights through the first 2 for Oregon State. The bright spot, as it so often is Mary-Kate Marshall.
Yeah, how can you ignore what she continues to bring to this team as a sophomore? What a remarkable year she had last season, and you can tell that she just picked up this season early on and continues with a very, very good swing. Doesn't necessarily always hit a heavy ball, but stats consistent. She brings so much. You take a look at the stats here. Oregon State's bugaboo, Kevin, 0-38. That's tough.
Yeah, we saw the errors start to creep in that second set, too. They were not making errors. Terry Liskevich mentioned that once those errors kind of got back into their game, away went the score. And the service errors. For UCLA, the return of Riley Buechler, the much anticipated return of their 6th position player.
Yeah, well, they've been waiting for her to return. He said, we're just patiently waiting earlier this week. And boy, you can tell what a great team that UCLA's with her on the floor. I like what Michael Seeley just told us about. Forget the stats of Riley Buechler, although they're pretty good. She does so many other little things to make this team better.
Volleyball, one of those games, perhaps the best example of a game where the play of others can so affect the play of the other pieces on the floor. When you look at Mary-Kate Marshall, her numbers down percentage-wise this year, but she doesn't have the same pieces around her. The return of Riley Buechler for UCLA, she makes the other pieces around her better by taking some of the pressure off of them. It's a very tough game in that respect, that you're so dependent on what's happening around you.
Well, you mentioned Woods, Nassar, Lorschau, all out for Oregon State due to graduation, and so Marshall has had to take a bit of a heavier load.
That'll be a lift called on that first contact. The setting for both teams, certainly a question mark throughout. We're here at the Wooden Center in Westwood, California. Kevin Barnett alongside Tammy Blackburn. Thanks for being with us here on a Sunday. Oregon in black, UCLA in white. Pac-12 women's volleyball presented by Tachikara. Anderson. Done this time by Oregon State. Struggles with that particular attack. Frager, who we have not heard much from late in this match, she is 5 of 9.
Second on the team among hitters. She comes into this match hitting .305.
Leading in blocks. Jenny Frager doing a nice job in the middle, number 10. Still up there. Marshall inside, dug by Bushlow. Lawless converts, and there's that 6 rotation player.
That's that opposite side there that you need, and this is what we mean when we say take a little bit of pressure off of Bushler, take some pressure off of Anderson, who's on that left side in the outside hitting position. If Lawless can put a ball down like that, that's great balance across the net.
Cut down the line from Driscoll. Nice return shot from the redshirt junior. Started just 9 matches in 2014. Regular starter this year. Bushlow, bad pass. Oregon State just not looking ready for that free ball play. Terry Laskevich's arms going up over his head in frustration in the middle of that rally.
You know, he talked to us on the way into intermission and said, we're not very good when our opponents are out of system. Au contraire, when Oregon State is out of system, UCLA has been good and taking advantage of that.
Anderson, 10 kills. Hitting just 103. Having her own struggles with some setting. We've seen it tight, we've seen it outside, we've seen it off. Right side, Lawless. Lawless finds Reagan in the middle. So mixing and matching over there. Yeah, OSU, look at Reagan. Little shuffle step.
That's right, that shuffle so nice, gets the right hand. I like Reagan getting the point for Oregon State because I thought that was a really good set by Hollingsworth over on that right side.
A serve. Oregon State up. That one was Darby Reeder. One of a few National Honor Society students over here out of Zephyr Cove. He's a player who led OSU in digs last year, over 600. Not playing that libero role this year.
Also one of the top servers from last year.
Back row setter, Mike Seeley up yelling at our down official. In the middle of that rally, that ball was actually blocked by the back row setter. That's why Oregon State put it over. That was going to be 3 contacts already. But I think Ken Kate telling him he's down below the level of the net. The player was down below the level of the net when that was contacted.
As soon as that ball goes higher than the net, you cannot. And so if that ball is below, that's right. Well explained there. That's what he's telling him. And Seeley was over there arguing.
Well, his argument wasn't as vigorous once UCLA won the point anyway. Marshall wrist away, and boy, she's showing some range all over the place. How many times did we see her go cross body in that last set out of the pipe? And now she goes wrist away. 5-4, third set. UCLA leading 2 sets to none, but needed a big comeback in that second set. An X play and an error from Lawless.
You know, Kevin, hasn't that really been the case? And, you know, they go wrist away and then they show some range, and we've seen that throughout the Pac-12. I think from the beginning of this season to the end of this season, as we're creeping up on the end, I think you've seen a lot of players.
Well, it's always interesting to watch players develop as the season goes on. Alicia Reagan is one of those players who has developed, got an opportunity to start, had more repetitions, and it's tough to look at the stats for some of these players that weren't regular starters at the beginning of this season. Whether it's a per set stat or an overall hitting percentage stat, tough to get a true gauge on where they're at. Reagan tries to make that play. Good effort but the ball's into the top of the net. UCLA within 2.
Just this experience right now for Reagan, being on the floor as much as she is, playing next to Marshall, playing with some of the other players, that will return for this young Oregon State team. She will be a much better player.
Reagan's hitting .056 on the year, but only 37 of the 90 sets played coming into this match. So really tough to put a lot of stock in what those numbers mean as far as what she's capable of. And of course, with freshmen, that changes so much throughout a year. Jessie Seimalo with the kill. Another player pressed into service. Bush, love the double arm mechanics. The huge double arm lift. Take a look at number 3 and the way she brings her arms back before she swings through.
It reminds me of when Jim McLaughlin was the coach at Washington. He used to coach that and how to use your arms with the backswing to get that lift on your approach. So important.
Mishandled ball on the second contact, and that's been a frequent feature for OSU this year. You heard Terry Liskevich mention when we talked to him the setting struggles. It's not only been location, it's been contact at times.
It's too easy.
Tip over the top. Mary Kate Marshall showing there's more than one way to get a kill. You don't have to hit it hard every time.
That's right. That's what we said earlier in set number 2. You don't always have to drill it. You've just got to have some different reads. The AVCA Regional Freshman of the Year last year, Marshall.
Not to be outdone, Felix tips right back. 9-8. Oregon State. So another strong start to a set for the Beavers. Can they continue their level of play in order to make it competitive over 20? Set Marshall's probably a good idea. Well, I've seen Claire Felix lay out in the back row on a first or second contact often. Here is an extremely active player at her size.
You know, that's why I appreciate her. I mean, she does everything she can. Look at her get down on the floor, try to stick the right arm out. She leads all hitters 360. She's first on the team with 20 block solos, but it's those non-stats that Mike Seeley talks about, that effort.
6'6" junior out of Lewis Palmer High School, which is located just north of Colorado Springs. There's some mechanics. Look at that. Wear it, says Jordan Anderson.
I particularly appreciate the bump set all the way across by Muno.
Frager taps that one down. 10-10. Roll shot middle of the court, Formico. Here comes Lawless cross court. Wide.
Second time in this set that she has been wide, but she's getting the swings, and I like how Muno is setting her when they can.
Stuff block. Haley Clark, and this is Oregon State for you. One of these sometimes teams in the Pac-12 capable of terrific volleyball. I think you could probably put Oregon in there, Washington State, Utah, maybe Arizona occasionally. Teams that are perfectly capable of playing top-flight volleyball. It's just a question of how long can they sustain.
You know, that's right. And we just saw a big play by Haley Clark. That's what he's talking about with Terry Liskevich and this team competing. Haley Clark, 7 blocks against UCLA back on October 25th. It's not that they're not competing. It's just the mistakes add up. And when you're playing a team as good as UCLA, bite you.
Well, right there, 13-10 the lead. And you just serve the ball out. Keep the pressure on the Bruins. So Marshall misses service errors now, 6 for Oregon State. Continuing to serve Marshall with UCLA, and that one's wide. So a service error and now a hit wide brings UCLA right back into this set, down by just 1. Formico, perfect positioning. Boy, Muno laying that one up there for Frager, a little low. Good job by Jenny Frager.
She had to make something better than that, right? She had to better this. We saw that in set number 2.
Another short serve. Oregon State off balance, and UCLA leads now. 4-0 run for the Bruins.
Great look from our net cam there at the block.
Marshall cracks it, dug by Jolson. Lawless high hands, not yet. And that one off the back row, Driscoll gets the kill. Driscoll now with 5 kills. Mary-Kate Marshall leads the team with 10.
Driscoll is one of those players that she attacks well, she can hit the ball well, needs that ball definitely to be in her window. Did not train with this team in the spring.
That was one of the things that was talked about. As there's an ace serve for Oregon State. One of the things that was talked about is the setting needs to make the hitters more comfortable, because they have some hitters in Oregon State who need to be able to be confident in where that set's going to be placed. Can Oregon State play with more confidence in this third set? They're 10 points away from winning one.
Ranked Trojans, today at 1 on Pac-12 Network.
Pac-12 Women's Volleyball is presented by Tachikara. We've got the ball, you bring the game. Just another one of the gorgeous sights you can find throughout the Westwood campus of UCLA. We are in the third set here in Pac-12 Volleyball, presented by Tachikara inside the Wooden Center. Kevin Barnett and Tammy Blackburn sitting courtside, watching Oregon State again play well to the mid part of a set. The question will be, can they continue from here? They led in set number 2, 15-14, as they do right now here in set 3, only to watch it slip away 25-19.
Got to be clean. You got to make sure you are spot on, clean up the details, eliminate unforced errors.
Big cut from Bushler. Oregon State in transition, Formico. Reagan saves it, Oregon State scrambling. And that one called down. Reagan sticking out the left hand. She might have gotten part of it, but last time I checked, you got to get all of it.
Yeah. You know, that's one of those plays for Oregon State and a sequence where they played some very clean volleyball right there, and they're just going to have to concede that if UCLA on that play was the better team and gets the point, there's nothing they can do. You got to give it up to the Bruins.
It's a great point about the sport of volleyball. Sometimes you look at your opponent, hey, that was pretty good.
Yep.
Let's go to the next point right now. You see that in the men's game a lot when you get hit over.
That's a good point.
Not much I can do about it.
That's right.
Taking it inside. Good touch by Felix. I like the energy on the Oregon State side. Miss from Uno and Felix.
And every time they miss and every time Oregon State picks up a point, they are one step closer to winning a set. What a set victory will do for the confidence of this Oregon State team. Could be huge, but remember, they are on the road. The number 9th ranked Bruins in the nation.
Remember, this isn't one UCLA has to have, but mentally they'd like to put it away quickly. Get it done in 3. Start to think about their trip to Arizona. And Oregon State has other ideas. Remember, upcoming schedule for UCLA, the Arizonas, then at USC. We know what the challenge that will be, a team that has been ranked number 1 for a lot of the season. And then they will host Stanford the Friday after Thanksgiving. That's not an easy finish to this season. Oregon State with another chance. Reagan, that one's on top of the tape. Boy, maybe a joust opportunity there. UCLA back to within 1, but hitting over 300 is Oregon State here in this set.
And yet they are only up by 1, and they're thinking, what must we do to be able to pull away? Yeah, maybe go after that, attack that.
Oh, tangled up with Felix was Muno that time. And And she goes limping away. Looks like she got tangled up footwise with the middle blocker coming off that block. Take an opportunity to tie the shoes and see what effect that has. Remember, Ryan Chandler already unavailable. Richard, sophomore out of San Diego, at the setting position. Felix. I'd like to see UCLA feed that backslide more often. Marshall OT and off the back row. Look at Oregon State here, creeping close to 20 and still with the lead.
But they need every one that they can get. A big swing there by Mary-Kate Marshall. And I say go right back to her on this play if possible.
Got to get the transition first. There it is. Marshall is available. Beautiful read in the back row by Eno. And tapped down the line, Anderson.
Equally good read by Anderson on the other side. And she sold that a little bit, right? She didn't. Reagan was kind of staying home in that back, getting ready to be a digger in the hole, but Anderson, good read.
Got a good look at McKenna Hollingsworth creeping up the setter in the right back. Marshall. Anderson. Boy, Mary-Kate Marshall, how would you like some volleyball leather to go along with your pancakes on a Sunday morning? It's a couple times she's got it in the face. UCLA back to 19 even. Jordan Anderson and the Bruins trying to close it out in 3.
Athletes who can get them back in the game.
19 all in set 3. UCLA looking for the sweep on a Sunday morning. Pac-12 Women's Volleyball presented by Tatcha Kara. We're getting down to the end of it here in Pac-12 Women's Volleyball Friday. It'll be UCLA charging the desert. Desert Storm facing Arizona State. Matchup inside the top 25. Coverage will begin Friday at 6 on Pac-12 Arizona, Pac-12 Los Angeles, or watch on Pac-12 Now and pac-12.com. But you're watching right now, the Oregon State Beavers try and stay alive in this one.
UCLA's done a good job of battling to try to play catch-up, but Oregon State seemingly, every time it's a tie, they go up by 1.
And they've done a good job of getting their best hitter, Mary-Kate Marshall, matched up against the setter, the block. Zanamuno, here it goes again. No swing, though, for Oregon State. Well, that one short inside. Not much Marshall could do with it, trying to tap it off the block. Setting it
there. Yeah, Frager was there, 6'5". Marshall just tries to make something of this, but you're right. There's absolutely nothing Marshall can do.
Felix misses, tied at 20. So it's set to 5, win by 2. Mike Sealy inside the Wooden Center, watching his home side. Try and salvage a split on the weekend. Remember, they went down in 5 on Thursday to Oregon. First time that UCLA has won the first set and then lost the match all season long. Kevin Barnett, Tammy Blackburn courtside as Anderson looks for hands and doesn't get them.
Tough pass there, and serve receive didn't leave Muno with much, which didn't leave Anderson with much.
UCLA still with 2 timeouts. Might see one of them if Oregon State gets this ball.
Much better by Enoy.
Anderson stopped for the moment. Not on the second swing.
You see the difference in those 2 points. Eno had serve receive issue on that first one, but this one was good. Muno gets a really good set out to Anderson, and when you get a good hittable ball, let the hitters do the work, right? That's the difference between bad serve reception and good serve reception.
Anderson with a tough job, has to carry UCLA through that rotation with the setter in the front row. Lawless now back into the front row as Mary-Kate Marshall gets that kill. So now it's the Beavers offense that we will have to watch as Mary-Kate Marshall goes to the back row for them. She will swing out of the back row, but hasn't been nearly as effective as the front. Frager, one-on-one against Clark, gets the kill. So UCLA in a perfect scoring rotation right now. Drolson coming in. Frager, Lawless, and Bushler in the front row. Things looking good for UCLA with 3 to go. Drolson short. Reagan off the hands. So smart serving right there by Drolson. Serving short, taking Mary-Kate Marshall completely out.
Well, this is good, and then look at what they do, though. They go to Reagan, who is explosive.
She's fun to watch.
She's going to get that touch.
Lawless with the tip. Who's there? Reagan. Almost got the block, did the freshman number 11, but off the hands and off the antenna keeps this score tied.
Look at the one-on-one battle there. The sophomore and Bushler going up against the redshirt freshman, Reagan, and Terry Liskevich wants a quick timeout.
Timeout called by Oregon State. 23 all. UCLA trying to get out in 3. Mentioned their upcoming schedule. What about the Beavers? The Beavers have Washington, Washington State, Arizona, all in Corvallis. Then they will go to Oregon for the back-to-back of the Civil War. So they will end with the Civil War. And that may be a chance for the Ducks to have their postseason ruined by Oregon State. But you'll get a look at Oregon State long before then. And on this Friday, Washington State will come to town and face off with the Beavs. Coverage begins Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific. You can hashtag Pac-12VB if you want to get in the conversation. There is a look at that schedule. Civil War at Oregon, the final one there. The Ducks are one of those teams that's on the bubble, and you know their rival would like nothing more than to take them out in the last match of the year and ruin Oregon's postseason hopes.
Well, interestingly enough, the last couple of weeks, Oregon has been in a must-win situation. On the other hand, though, for UCLA, look at their remaining schedule. Arizona State, Arizona, USC. So the first 3 on the road, although USC not too far of a road trip for this team. But then for Stanford that they'll host in the NCAA first round December 4th. What a tough schedule to finish out for the Bruins.
Yeah, good to see that in there already. UCLA is going to be in the NCAA tournament. They are guaranteed a spot with the work they've already put in. And you mentioned that trip to USC. Not too far, but it could be. Remember, things in LA measured in time, not distance.
Oh yeah, and USC number 2 in the nation as well.
Now things in this match measured in points. Just 2 is all it takes to take this third set. Bushler forced to roll. Oregon State had a couple of chances. Nice knuckler from Formico. Boy, Reagan dealing with a terrible set, sneaks it over. What a break for Oregon State as they have a set point.
Watch this ball just spin right over the tape. If it wasn't for the spin, that ball would have been on Oregon State's side.
I think I saw that one in the Mrs. Trick Shots video back in the 80s. In to serve, McKenna Hollingsworth. Bushler with the set on the line, comes through. 24 all. Bushler into double figures, 10 kills. Anderson with 15. She's back to 158, been on a good streak lately, has Jordan Anderson. Reagan is just taking cuts outside. Dig. Shallows to the net. Reagan can't get there. That one falls down to UCLA with a match point.
And that's a big presence for Reagan to see coming at you with Felix and those big hands. That ball was on the side of Oregon State, but the 6'6" junior Middle Felix.
7 inches the difference between those two players. And Eno, who made that spectacular dig in the right back mid-rally, will serve for the match. Short, tough play. Larry Page lets it go. Oregon State cross court. Lanisha Reagan. What a night for the freshman.
Lots of swings for her. Her team is leaning on those shoulders, leaning on that right arm. You've come to appreciate her athletic ability, her explosiveness, but her hustle is really what I like.
Mary Kate Marshall back to the front row. Oregon State made it through. That was Marshall with the block on Felix. Everyone in the gym knew this swing was coming, and it's a kill off of Muno. That matchup again, Mary Kate Marshall, the best hitter for the Beavers, up against the setter for UCLA. Set point number 2 for the Beavers, and it's timeout UCLA. So now it is Oregon State who worked themselves all the way through those 3 rotations with Marshall in the back row. Back with the advantage.
That's right, they're getting the advantage of this. Here it is right here. You just pointed out Marshall against Muno. Muno at 5'10", the freshman setter on that outside right front block of the net, and she goes right off her hands.
Oregon State in a good spot. The rotation they want. Remember, just 2 hitters in the front row for UCLA. Jordan Anderson has been doing the bulk of the work on the outside in these rotations with the setter, Zana Muno, in the front row. Maybe a chance to learn something about both these teams as we look at the numbers for Mary Kate Marshall and think about what's happening with Mary Kate Marshall and just over her shoulder, Lanisha Reagan. That's a pretty nice setup right there. A junior and a sophomore next year coming back on the outside. That's a duo you can work with.
With 1 more year of experience, and that's going to make him better, and a spring to work with.
Spring to work with the setters and maybe even things out there for Terry Liskevich, Mark Barnard, and Emily Heisa and the crew over there. Set point number 2 in this third. Beavers trying to stay alive. Crowd trying to rally the Bruins. They need this one.
Back to serve Oregon State, 26 serving 25.
Felix forced the tip for the set. It's in. Marshall finishes set 3 in favor of the Beavers, 27-25. We know it's the weekend. You have nowhere to go. You've been loving some Pac-12 volleyball. Oregon State's giving you a bit more to watch. Set 4 in the offing next.
The Conference of Champions.
Bruin fans got up early on a Sunday, wanted to see some volleyball. They're getting an opportunity here as Oregon State came back in that third set, 27-25. Victorious Kevin Barnett alongside Tammy Blackburn. Welcome back inside the Wooden Center here in Tammy for the second straight match. UCLA is watching their hitting percentage fall as the match goes on.
Yeah, you know, tough setting here. I mean, for both sides, but it's really been a match of defense, and that's what I've come to appreciate with this match. I mean, I love Formico in the back for UCLA, but I appreciate in that set number 3, Lanisha Reagan of Oregon State. How about her stat line? A lot of swings for her, but are you kidding me? 10 digs, she's doing it defensively. I absolutely love the effort of Mary Kate Marshall finishing this one out. The set 112 hitting percentage for Oregon State, continuing to creep up a lot better than hitting .038 after 2.
Reagan with those 8 kills. Not a terrific percentage, but she has caught fire late in the set. And also the 10 digs just flying around the court, giving energy to her side.
You know, in set number 1, we saw little communication here with her with Kayla Ellis. Kayla Ellis should have had a ball. She learned from that. She's in the right place at the right time. 1 block solo, 1 block assist for Reagan as well.
Underway here in set 4. Reagan with another dig. That'll be 11. That ball way outside. Felix takes advantage, stuffing it down.
Reagan with another dig, but Felix with another block at the net. Claire Felix, a nice job today. 3 block assists. Make that 4.
Short serve misses, tied at 1.
Also to the red, point Beavers. Kayla Ellis serving.
Mike Seeley, maybe an opportunity to learn about his UCLA Bruins as the pressure is applied by the opponent. An opponent really they should beat. You just look at it on paper. Should be an easy UCLA victory, but these are the situations where you find out about the temperament of your team, the ability of your team to respond to adversity.
And that's a good point, Kevin. Speaking of responding, how about Felix? They stopped her on the back slide in set number 3. That one she wasn't going to let them stop her on that back slide there, set number 4.
Mary-Kate Marshall off the hands and out. Same matchup there. Bruno and Marshall. That is not an advantage for UCLA. Marshall doing a nice job of swinging over the smaller blocker because Muno is next to 6'6" Claire Felix. Bushler wide. 3-2.
Tough out of the back there. Good serve. And Backlund went right to Drolson. Drolson had a hard time just handling that ball. Muno had to really kind of make an extra effort.
Felix cracks it. Can't be handled by Backlund in the back row.
2 for 2 so far. Early on in this set number 4. On this play right here, the back slide. For Felix this season, her errors have been low in most of the matches.
Down the line. We've seen that a few times from Jordan Anderson. There's a look at Haley Lawless laying on the bench with her feet up. Something obviously not good for Haley Lawless there. Hope she feels better, but she is out right now. The player's been through a lot injury-wise over her career. And Muno misses that one, so into Lawless's place will go Kyra Rogers.
And Lawless is one of those players, man, you don't have her on the floor. What does UCLA miss? Well, she just oftentimes makes good volleyball plays.
Well, you missed 3 inches and a whole bunch of experience. A redshirt junior versus a freshman into her spot. But Lawless has gone through issues. 2012, it was a shoulder. It was an ACL. The following year, last year, we're going to work her way back in, has been an important part for UCLA. Right now being comforted by her teammates.
Yeah, and her knee was recently scoped.
Visibly upset Haley Lawless on the bench. That ball out of bounds, and things kind of falling apart on the floor right now for UCLA as Oregon State leads 6-4. While it's only 2 points, it's starting to feel like a little bit more, Tammy Blackburn.
Oregon State certainly playing up to the momentum of that victory in a crucial set number 3 for them.
That one blasting through, getting through Reagan. Anderson now 17 kills, 195. Reagan missing. And we're tied.
And with Reagan, you see a quick swing.
Backslide kill. Haley Clark, and it's a renewed confidence on the side of Oregon State.
Even though UCLA coming close and staying close.
Tough serve. Tap deep. That's the pineapple. If you ask a long-time national team setter Lloyd Ball. Freshman making a play beyond her years.
Back to serve.
Mino to the back row, full strength for UCLA in the front. Easy side out for the Beavers.
Good set's going to give Driscoll a good swing, and she liked that ball. That's set right inside her window of opportunity. Not necessarily quick with her feet, so she needs that good set. But boy, when she gets the one that she likes, she's able to terminate.
Backslide action there from Kyra Rogers. Remember, she's listed as a middle blocker out of Roseville, California, but playing that opposite spot. It's a little double quick, perhaps.
Boy, nice. So she goes right back against the grain, that cross court there. She's 6 feet. Rookie player who's taking some good swings here this year for UCLA.
Played for Synergy Force and Addie Housechild. Former national team player in her own right. Reagan stuffed. Bushler up there with Freger.
Come to appreciate this. UCLA's middle blockers there, Felix and Freger. On that time, it was Bushler and Freger who got her hands on it. Remember, Freger tops this team in blocks with 1.2.
10 blocks for UCLA as a team. That ball tight to the net. Follow through into the net for Wilms.
Carly Carlson still serving.
Reagan through the hands. That was a nice flat shot.
Back to serve.
Beautiful set by Taylor Formico. Nice swing by Bushler. But how about that backstep?
Yeah, she goes right over after she scores this point because she knows she got a dandy from Taylor Formico. And look at Taylor Formico with the double fist pump there. Oh, Felix putting away on the overpass.
All of a sudden it's 12-9. And it's timeout, Oregon State. Has UCLA fought off what the Beavers are capable of giving in a match, or will Oregon State extend it to 5?
Watch on Pac-12 now.
UCLA leading 12-9 and 2 sets to 1 in this best of 5 Pac-12 women's volleyball match presented by Tatcha Kara. Good look at Pauley Pavilion, and don't forget, tonight UCLA men's basketball opening weekend continues here on Pac-12 Network. They will face off with Cal Poly. Coverage beginning tonight at 7 on Pac-12 Network, or watch on Pac-12 Now and Pac-12.com. Hashtag Pac-12Hoops on Twitter.
Did you say hoops?
Hoops.
It's hoop season.
Be a part of the conversation. Now volleyball, starting to think about the postseason coming up. Just a few matches remain for these teams, about 2 weeks worth of play. UCLA Bruins ranked number 9, coming off a loss against Oregon on Thursday. How far do you think they'll drop in the coaches poll if they take this match and they split on the weekend?
They're number 9 right now, 11 or 12. I think you'd agree with me.
Now, what if they lose this match? Then some real questions for UCLA. Boy, rushing in that time was Hollingsworth. Nearly had a volleyball sandwich for lunch.
Yeah, just the last several points, 4 or 5 points, UCLA in the driver's seat. They can turn at any time, but Oregon State getting into a danger area here where they are almost putting themselves in a must-score situation. UCLA closer to 25.
Toner, Doug. Maybe the Toner back in this match. Oh, beautiful block. And there's the difference. Kyra Rogers that time matched up against Mary-Kate Marshall.
Well, you said it, Kevin. She was a 4-year middle blocker in high school, all-state senior year. She was a team captain. She's got leadership qualities, a great recruit, a great get. for this UCLA program. Good experience for her in her rookie year.
Her mom, a basketball player at Drake University. Coming by her athleticism via her family. Oregon State in trouble. They trail 16-9 here in the fourth.
Better ways to care for athletes and get them back in the game.
16-9 in set number 4. Pac-12 women's volleyball presented by Tatcha Kara. UCLA trying to run away with it in the fourth. They're doing it with some excellent blocking at the net. Already 5 blocks in this set alone, 13 overall.
Felix and Rogers get together in the middle. Rogers makes a great read. Felix obviously was just right there as a middle blocker, staying home, and the two combined. Like the versatility of this player right here, Rogers, to come out as a middle blocker in high school and be able to play on that opposite side but perform some of the skills that her team needs.
As coaches, you have to love when you have a middle blocker who can convert to the outside, because blocking, toughest skill to master in this game. Back underway, 16-9. Mary-Kate Marshall trying to get Oregon State back into form. They were excellent at the end of set 3. Oh, but that ball unable to be handled on the Oregon State side. So again, some confusion about who was going to handle it. Terry Liskevich maybe thinking about next year. They had to know this season was coming. With the talent they lost, they've done some work this year, and the question will be, what does Oregon State do in the offseason? Do they clean up their setting situation? Can they continue to have their outside hitters progress? Who's going to play middle blocker for them next year?
I think, too, you have to realize how much they miss Corey Cheshire.
Well, they're in a good spot with their libero. Freshman Ellis has shown flashes. UCLA feeling comfortable leading by 8 here in the fourth.
Remember, Corey Cheshire was an outside that converted to middle blocker in non-conference. One of the best attacking middles, but again, he's got some pieces to work with and some things to think about. Meanwhile, UCLA and just has had a remarkable fourth set.
Hitting .562 in this set. Ellis with the dig. Felix, I don't know, she thought she was on the beach there for a second. Marshall trying to go off the hands. Another nice play in the right back. Bushler misses long.
The perimeter defense for both of these teams in that sequence was a lot of fun to watch. These blockers at the net know that right behind them is great defense and that they're going to get coverage.
That was a terrific read by down the line. She made that move before the swing even happened. A serve. Backlund.
Wilson had a hard time handling that one. We've seen Backlund do this a couple times. Look at that ball run away from Drolson.
Out of Wildomar, California, not too far away in the Inland Empire here in the Los Angeles area. Oh, that ball up in the air. Backlund can't get to it. 19-12 Bruins. Bushler 14 kills, 6 digs and 3 blocks. An excellent return to the starting lineup for the sophomore. Anderson cross court, bread and butter.
Too hard to handle for the libero of Oregon State, Kayla Ellis. A great effort, but this swing, oftentimes difficult to handle. Look at Formico allowing Anderson to even have the chance.
Anderson, 18 kills. This is a player who was hitting 0 when she had 7 kills, now hitting over 200. Certainly capable of getting kills in streaks. Reagan with the dig. And cross-court kill. I wonder, with Caitlin Driscoll, if you could get her a more consistent set on a regular basis, what she's capable of. Moves well at her size.
Yeah, her hitting percentage could be a lot higher. Remember, we had talked about her feet not being great, so she's going to need a really good set. But when she's delivered every time.
Yeah, she's at about her season average right now, hitting 150, 149 coming in. but we've seen so many opportunities that are just not high quality on the left-hand side for number 12, Caitlin Driscoll. She'll be back next year.
Yeah, and she's going to get another good spring in. She had never trained in the spring because of injuries. Earlier on, she had a great spring.
Anderson, stuffed by Clark. Just when you think Oregon State is dead, they start making some plays.
Oh, look at Haley Clark go up. Good penetration, hands over the net. All those fingers spread wide open. Nicely done.
No pineapple this time. But an error from Reagan. 22-14, UCLA. Rogers back into the front row. A successful trip through the back row.
You know, Kevin, I get a sense that UCLA disappointed in the way they performed in set number 3, that they could not sweep Oregon State. It feels like they really came out in set number 4 and have been playing like they're disappointed.
Backlund sets over, but UCLA solidly in control. Barring an Oregon State run, UCLA will move to 21-5, 12-4 on the year in Pac-12 play. Formico to the outside. That tip is missed by Rogers. If the Beavers cannot come back, they will fall to 5-21, 3-13 on the year. High ball, Anderson. Good touch. Toner, and that ball's on top of the net for Ciamalo to clean up. Ciamalo out of Corvallis, playing for the home side. UCLA still leading by 5 for head coach Mike Sealy. Frager with the slap kill. 10 kills now for Frager. 3 players in double figures for the UCLA offense.
There's a couple players in the Pac-12 that I feel in the middle, they just kind of make it look, effortless. And Frager is one of those. It's just a little bit effortless for her.
Touch on the block, not down yet. Good awareness by the Beavers. Toner with the kill.
She's a player that I have missed talking about in this match. We haven't really had a chance to see much of Toner. Just hasn't worked out that way. But several other Oregon State matches throughout this Pac-12 conference, really enjoyed what she's been able to do. I especially liked her out of the back.
Service error takes UCLA to match point number 1. For the match. That ball will be out off the antenna. Waiting for determination. Larry Page says Oregon State will get that point. Match point number 2 upcoming for the Bruins, 24-19. Freshman Kayla Ellis to serve. That ball's tight outside, tipped and good. Bushler makes the best of a bad situation and gives UCLA the win.
UCLA wins 25-18, 25-18.
Well, it wasn't easy for UCLA. Oregon State hanging around throughout the sets, won a crucial set number 3, but in set 4, you could almost tell that UCLA was disappointed in the way they performed in set 3, and they were in the driver's seat. Good execution by them throughout this set number 4. Bushler making the read, and a nice tip there.
UCLA victorious listen for. They get a split on the weekend. For my partner, Tammy Blackburn, and our entire Pac-12 crew, I'm Kevin Barnett, wishing you a good afternoon, and congratulations to UCLA.
36 on the year, and the goalkeeper, Garrett Danner, has the best